updated MLB free agent predictions. We've seen a lot of the big names sign, but some of them are still available on the market, like Kyle Tucker, like Bichette, like all of the Japanese guys. So let's go through and give you our updated free agent predictions from what we know and what we're hearing. Before we do, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Windup. We appreciate the amazing support you guys have been showing us. Keep it up, and don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all our social media at the Windup. You'll be able to find us over there. All right, James. Kyle Tucker, first guy. Feels crazy he's not been signed yet. The last two off seasons, the bigger guys have been moving faster. Tucker seems like he's going back to the old school, what we saw in like the late 2010s, where the guys are going to wait a little bit. I feel like there's only 3 teams that can really sign him. So which one did you go with?
Who are those 3 teams you think that can only sign him?
Blue Jays, Dodgers, Mets. I'm going with that Robert Murray leaked Discord message. I don't see anybody else even remotely linked to him. Like the Yankees make so much sense, and they're not even seemingly interested.
They don't even seem to be remotely close to even thinking about him. I have Tucker going to the Blue Jays. I said Dodgers is my first prediction. I flipped that now to the Blue Jays. It seems like their focus at this point after securing a lot of pitching is Kyle Tucker. And I think that they're going to be the team that wants him the most. I think they're going to wind up being the team that's willing to give him more years than either the Mets and the Dodgers, and that will wind up having them win this sweepstakes.
Yeah, I ultimately had him going to the Blue Jays as well. It just seems like out of all the teams, I mean, the Mets could use Kyle Tucker the most out of all these 3 teams, Definitely. Without a doubt. I just don't think that the Mets are going to give Kyle Tucker the contract he's most inclined to sign, where I think the Blue Jays, not that they'll overpay, but I think they'll be more aggressive than these other teams. Mets for the contract reason, Dodgers for kind of have an all-star team already. They won a World Series without him. I think they'll be okay. So, yeah, I do have Tucker going back to the Blue Jays, and I do think it's going to be on a big, big contract.
So then where do you have Bichette going next?
I have him going to the Blue Jays too. I think they're going to say, we don't care. We're trying to win the World Series right now. We're going to go out and pay our guys. The one thing that's interesting about Bo is now that he has made it public, he's open to playing second base. That makes me think he had no market besides the Blue Jays before then. So I am interested to see what that could look like, what other teams are interested. The problem is I don't, again, know how good of a second baseman Bichette is going to be for the contract that he's demanding, where I think the Blue Jays are fine to pay him.
I think he'll definitely be a good hitter, though, and he'll definitely be a great hitter relative second baseman. I have him, sorry guys, going to the Dodgers. I think that after the Blue Jays sign Tucker, they might tighten up a little bit, and Bo could feel a little bit scorned that his team that he developed with, he just lost in the World Series with, just did an upgrade, and maybe they're not giving him the exact deal he wants, so maybe he's more willing at that point to then take a deal with the Dodgers.
And I like that.
The Dodgers right now, their second base situation is horrific, actually.
It's Hyun-Sung Kim and Tommy Edman, basically, which neither of those guys are really good at this exact moment.
And I think there's still a lot of opportunity for Tommy Edman to mix in the outfield because the Dodgers' outfield situation is not as well. And I do think that, again, I think the Bichette announcing to the world that he'll be a second baseman, I'm sure most teams were anticipating that anyway. And now that, again, like you said, it's firm, that opens up his market a lot more. And I think that also is an indication that he's probably not getting the long, huge mega deal that he kind of expected at the outset either. So this comes with some kind of 4-year deal, really high AAV, possibly with an opt-out. Very advantageous deal for Bo if he gets opt-outs early. And I think that of all the teams that could sign a deal like that, I think the Dodgers are the ones that are most likely to put the pen to paper.
Yeah, I also think that the Mariners could be an interesting spot, too, now that he wants to play second base, just because they so desperately need it. And they were looking at signing Jorge Polanco. Maybe they just go with a shorter-term, more aggressive deal with Bo.
I just don't. They're one of the teams that was hard for me to put on this list because I don't know if, when, or how they're going to actually spend money.
Yeah, they just...
Which sucks.
I mean, they got Josh Naylor back, but that's kind of their thing. They don't really sign new free agents. They keep guys there.
Yeah, that's it for them. Next, Alex Bregman.
Okay, this is going to be the last one where I'm super boring. I don't see how he's not back with the Red Sox. It seems like he's their number one priority. It seems like he's such a good fit. It seems like both sides want this to happen. It's just about finding the years and the money to make it work. And I mean, you traded Rafael Devers because you had Alex Bregman. I think they have a pretty good feeling like he'll be back because of those reasons.
Yeah, for all the same reasons. I went Bregman back to the Red Sox. Also because this rumor has kind of spouted out this week about Alex Bregman and the Diamondbacks being connected. That, to me, feels like the classic Scott Boras. Let everybody out there know, like, hey, might not come back to the Red Sox. Or the Red Sox, I think, know they have tons of leverage right now. And this is a shot to try and squeeze out a couple more years or a couple more mil.
Yep, I simply think all that is. Because Diamondbacks roster, looking at it, it's going to get even worse than it currently is right now.
I've got a Diamondbacks move on here.
Do you? Is it the next player?
No, I have a surprising one on here, but we'll wait for that.
Okay, next up we have Tatsuya Imai, the prized Japanese pitcher coming over this offseason. interested to see what he can actually do at the major league level. Linked to a lot more teams now. One of the only Japanese guys linked to anybody at the moment.
Yeah.
Who do you got him going to, James?
I have him going to the Chicago Cubs.
Ooh,
I think that
okay.
we talk a little smack about the Chicago Cubs on this channel just because they are a big market team based on city and actual financial resources they have, but they simply don't act like it. And right now, everything we've heard about Imai's market is that the real finalists seem to be the teams that are the most hotly after him are the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Cubs. And right now, the Cubs just have the most upshot to give him more money. And I think just there's going to be a most money situation for Tatsuya Imai. And I think they have the best ability to go above their means to do so.
Am I wrong in that? Wasn't there a rumor Imai wanted to play for a team that had no other Japanese players? Am I confusing him with somebody?
I don't know if he said that explicitly, but I know explicitly he said he did not want to play for the Dodgers. He wanted to beat the Dodgers.
Okay, maybe I confused the two, but I have Imai going to the Yankees just because there's a little uncertainty again with Cole and Rodon based on the injuries coming back. And while I think they have a major league rotation, I don't think it's a problem by any means. I think if they're going to spend money, it's going to be on one of two guys right now in the free agent market, and I do think they're more likely to spend it on Imai rather than they are someone else that I mentioned a little bit later.
I'm curious. I think the Yankees right now have the most momentum. I think it's just because they have the most fans on Twitter who talk about these things.
That, yeah.
And at the same time, how many of these off seasons can the Yankees give a mega contract to a pitcher?
Yeah, that's also true.
I guess you could do it infinitely, but I'd be very surprised if the Yankees suddenly have 4 guys on their staff who are making $25 million at least at AV.
What's Rodon's got like 2 years left after this? That's the only.
I think it was a 5-year deal when he signed it, and
he's done 3 so far, right?
Maybe is Fried actually not making $25 million? I think he's making just above it. Rodon signed a 6-year deal.
Okay, he's 6 years, so he has
3 years left.
3 full years
at
left.
$27 million against the luxury tax.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really does depend on what they think is going to go on with Garrett Cole and Rodon. That's really, if they sign Imai, you're expecting those guys to probably be out longer than we initially thought.
Because Imai right now, the projections still have him inching towards $200 million.
It feels like so much.
It feels like, I think I'm in the baseball world right now. I'm a little bit lower on Imai than most, but I don't know if I'd be comfortable going to that range for him. But you'd have Garrett Cole at $36 million, Fried 27, Rodon 27, and then Imai at like 25. Like that would be. That would rival the Dodgers, the most expensive rotation in baseball. I don't think their rotation would be even close to being on par with them.
No, definitely not. I also think with the Imai conversation, just to talk about him as a pitcher, it's similar to the one that I had with you with Shota, where we're like, he's so unique. Like, there's no one that really throws like him in Major League Baseball. And Imai was like, is that probably for a reason? Like, it's just not really a fit, or because Imai's whole thing is he's got that unique slider, right? That doesn't.
It's a backward slider.
That doesn't really actually slide at all. It goes the opposite direction, or it's more of like a drop. Yeah. And while I don't think Imai's going to be bad, just like Shota. Like Shota's a mid-rotation guy. That's kind of what I see with Imai, where I'm like, I think a reason this slider doesn't exist over here is because it doesn't really work.
I'm much less concerned about Imai's slider than I am his fastball. I think the backward slider really what's going to wind up being is just mostly have depth on it. And I think a slider with tons of drops just can wind up being platoon neutral. And he throws that pitch in the upper 80s, and he got 50% whiffs on it in the MPB against righties. Even if you cut that in half, that's still going to be like a fine pitch. Won't be an out pitch anymore. But I'm concerned about how.
So then, what would his out pitch be?
I think that will be a relative out pitch.
Okay.
I just don't know if it'll be like the most dominant out pitch you can have in the league. Like that slider last year was one of the most dominant individual pitches in the MPB last year. I am a little bit worried about where his fastball winds up. We just use a different ball than they use in Japan. Their ball is tackier, their ball is a little bit smaller, so you get a better fastball shape in Japan naturally. Where here you're going to lose some of that, and if he loses a lot of that, I know he's going to have great velocity, which is why he shouldn't be compared to Shota. But
sure.
I see him more as like a 3.7 ERA guy than like a 3.2 ERA guy.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to roundabout.
Yeah, I think he might get paid like a 3.2 ERA guy. And also, a big thing, though, is... Sorry for talking about Imai a lot. I did a big YouTube video about him about a week.
It's a good convo, though. A lot of people don't know much.
It is, and again, maybe we should put him on a thumbnail for this one. It's when he was last year in Japan, he threw 93% fastballs in the slider to right-handed batters and 71% fastball and sliders to left-handed batters. That came when Imai had the best year of his career in Japan. And over the years, Imai has bumped up his strikeout rate and decreased his walk rate at the same time that he simplified his repertoire to focus on these two pitches. So I think a big part of his projection coming over to America is that he adds more changeups and splitters. Two pitches that have performed well in Japan, but seems like he's cut them out a bit for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that he has to find ways to be effective and be at least make hitters have to chase those pitches for him to throw them a lot, and to throw them a lot is that how I think he would kind of follow through in a $200 million contract.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, like, he's closer to Kodai Senga than he is Yoshinobu Yamamoto in my eyes. And also at the same time, like, the quality of hitters at the major league level versus the MPB is just infinitely better.
No, also that when he's leaving the MPB, the thing we like the most is strikeout minus walk rate. You'd like to see that from a platform year. Like his strikeout minus walk rate in the MPB was more similar to guys like Kenta Maeda than Yusei Kikuchi than it was to Yamamoto.
Which that's kind of our whole thing. But yeah, those are the two teams we think that he'll go to. Let's keep it on the NPB conversation. Munetaka Murakami. We are 4 days away. 3 days maybe based on when you're listening to this. Not a absolute clue who's interested in him at all. I think you might have killed him, James. You might be his number. I'm not gonna say you might be his number one hitter. He might hate you more than anybody else on the internet right now.
Which is funny because I got bad information about a month ago, and I tweeted the stat that got millions of impressions, went around, got ripped for it. But things happen. We're on the internet. That he was really bad against velocity. He was pretty bad against velocity. Not as bad
definitely
as
is bad at it. Yeah,
but I also think you never, if you don't see it, you can't be good at it. Like there's just not that much velocity in Japan. I think like Otani struggled with velocity when he played for the MPB. He was also much younger than Murakami when he came over. Like there's crazy upshot in Murakami. That's why I think that a team that kind of wants to start to edge their way closer to being competent probably has money to spend and might not have the best internal processes is going to sign him. Chicago White Sox.
Ooh, interesting. Big market, technically.
Technically a big market. Like I feel like a guy like Murakami coming from Japan, you probably want to locate yourself in a big, fun city, worldly place like Chicago. I just think that they have a good blend of not the need, but like you kind of want to put a little bit of excitement into that White Sox team if you're trying to build them. You're a few years into this catastrophic rebuild where you've been one of the worst teams in baseball. You're starting to show that the hints, the inklings of doing something cool. Just get a wild card, figure it out, have some fun.
I so badly want to put him to like a weird team because I think that you have an opportunity right now if you're like one of those mid-market teams to kind of just like slide in and maybe take advantage of a guy who still has top-end talent in terms of power production and what he could be as a hitter, but people are a little bit scared because of some of the underlying numbers. I'd love to see one of them take a shot, but whenever I see a super, super hyped-up player that maybe smarter people in the industry are a little less bullish on, I just go to the Los Angeles Angels every single time. And I go, Perry Manasian's like, this guy could be a top prospect. Like at one point, he was considered to be like the guy over there. We got to bring him in. And it might not be the worst decision either for them.
No, I think that's on the similar ilk where it's like you can get crazy things.
Yes, he's probably going to be good.
So last year when he was in the MPB, he had under a 73% zone contact rate. Last year in the MLB, only 17 hitters with at least 250 plate appearances had a zone contact rate below 77%. And you got names like Sam Hilliard. That's all since 2023. Sam Hilliard, Joey Gallo, Jose Siri, Gabriel Arraez, Matt Wallner, Alexander Canario, Christopher Morel.
Not a lot of good players.
Two guys on that list, Rafael Devers and Nick Kurtz.
Yeah. And
the one thing that Murakami can do is that he can crush the baseball. Like he has exit velocities 116, 117. Like he has pull power. He has opposite field power. If he makes contact, it's crazy. He also made really, really good swing decisions in the MPB. Like in terms of how often he was swinging in the zone and how often he was chasing, it was up there with guys like Seager, Semmy, and Dansby Swanson in Major League Baseball in terms of his swing decisions.
Yeah, played discipline.
But the contact rate would be one of the worst in the league. So
it's an interesting combination.
It's a crazy profile. Like right now, the line
it's like
going
Joey
around,
Gallo.
People are talking Kyle Schwarber right now, which again I think that's agent work right now because that's been the big story going around the Athletic on Thursday when we're recording this. But I think it's such a range. It really is.
I think this is a fun one though. I would love to see the Pittsburgh Pirates all over him. That'd be so
awesome.
Cool.
I don't know if he'd go to Pittsburgh, though. That's why I have the White Sox.
He might not have a
Angels.
choice, but
it's true.
You think he's going to love the south side of Chicago? I don't think so.
He's not going to live there. He's just going to play there.
That's
I'm
crazy.
sure he's going to live in the loop, but yeah, he's going to have a nice time.
Last of the Japanese players, Kazuma Okamoto. I'll get this one started. I've got him going to one of those mid-market teams, Cincinnati Reds. Kazuma Okamoto. I think that would be a good home for him, especially because he doesn't have like the gaudy power numbers that you see from Murakami. So you might actually be able to get some legit power numbers out of him in what is the arguably most hitter-friendly ballpark in the entire game.
Yeah, so similar, just for a team that I think is still going to try to win, but doesn't want to break the bank and has a big need. I have them going to the Padres. I think that the West Coast teams have a slight advantage in recruiting these. I mean, of course, seeing the Dodgers recruiting these Japanese players because it's closer to home. You have a little bit more of the Asian culture in those.
Darvish is also there too.
Yeah, not exactly San Diego. I mean, Darvish actually might not be there, but
well, yeah,
yeah. But Okamoto also he last year had a 112-mile-an-hour batted ball against Daniel Palencia in an exhibition game before the Cubs played the Dodgers in Japan. So I think there's a little bit more raw power here than people give him credit for, and he's kind of like the regal, like, all-time performer. Like, every single year he was top of the league in the MPB in terms of, like, bat to ball, even home runs, because it's not a big home run hitting league. Like, he played for the Yomiuri Giants. They're the prestigious team over there. Like, he's a great fielder, defender at first base. Like, he's a fun target for me. I think if a team like the Padres can get him for like a 3 for 40, which seems like that's the range right now, like, it might be a coup.
Yeah, that being the range, though, makes me feel like he is open to every single team, though, which is also really interesting.
So then it'll become, where do you want to play? It's like, oh, you see the city over here?
True.
That's perfect weather every day and a lot of other really good players on it. I'd like to play for them.
It's possible. It's also, if the Padres are going to spend any money, we have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, they might not spend a cent, but I think that's a good fit.
Number 7, Cody Bellinger. This was the guy I was hinting to earlier. I think it's either going to be Imai or Cody Bellinger that the Yankees signed. Just, you can't really feel good playing Jason Dominguez every single day in left field. And the Yankees made that very well known last year, that they didn't like playing Jason Dominguez every single day. They tried their hardest to make sure he wasn't in the lineup as much as possible. So if they're serious about putting a World Series contending team out there, I feel like they have to bring back Cody Bellinger.
I don't disagree with you, but it seems like they haven't been that aggressive in their pursuit. Seems like they're sitting and waiting back. And I think that if teams start to sit back and wait for a guy like Cody Bellinger, I can see him, after a very turbulent few years where he was non-tendered by the team he came up and won an MVP with, signed a prove-it deal with the Cubs. The prove-it deal only helped him prove it for a 3-year deal. The last year of that prove-it deal, he didn't prove it enough, and that team sold him for parts to the Yankees. We had a great year, and again, that team doesn't want to bring him back. I see a guy like Cody Bellinger wanting some security, possibly wanting to go home. Arizona Diamondbacks for Cody Bellinger.
Okay.
They have no outfielders on this team right now besides Corbin Carroll.
It's so bad.
Lourdes Gurriel's knee is bad. He's not going to be back until midseason. We don't even know what we get after that. Like, Alec Thomas is a good defensive center fielder, but I don't
not
know what
even
there
anymore.
And the fact that we have these rumors even leaking out a bit about Bregman and the Diamondbacks, that just tells me that Ken Kendrick, the owner, is like, I want to spend some money. Like, and they can spend some money. They should spend some money. Bellinger's a good fit there. They also don't have a first baseman. Like, he can mix in there if Tyler Locklear falls flat in his face. Like, it's a good fit. I can see Bellinger, similar to Corbin Burns last year, taking a slight discount to be like, you know what? This is nice. I get to be home. I don't have to travel around anymore. I can build up a family. Like, it seems like a nice place for him to wind up.
I don't hate it. I'd be happy for the Diamondbacks. Sure, go play in Arizona, and he'd also hit like 20 triples a year in that ballpark. So
I think he's crushing that ballpark. I mean, again, the real triples alley for him. But he's still got a nice pull alley down the right field line.
How about our next free agent, Framber Valdez, James?
He, to me, is one of the hardest guys to track this offseason, because we went in and people were like, this is the elite pitcher. But I think everyone collectively agreed this is not the elite pitcher. But I still think Framber Valdez wants to get the elite pitcher contract. And I tried to think, who is the team that can still give him the elite pitcher contract? And I wound up with our favorite front office, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
There it is.
Perry Minasian, just having some fun, getting the band back together. Not back together, but that's a fit to me.
I'll go the complete opposite. Framber Valdez, New York Mets. He's going to be signed like after Valentine's Day. He's going to look around. He's going to say, where all my friends, everyone else got signed. He's going to sign like a 3-year, $100 million, $110 million contract with the Mets with opt-outs after every single season. It's going to be extremely player-friendly, but the Mets get a guy who can be an ace for them in 2026. They get him on a contract that they like. Framber Valdez is happy because he gets paid a shit ton of money. And then if he balls out again, he'll opt out and signs a big deal contract with the Angels in 2027.
I'll ask you this about the Mets right now and that kind of deal for Framber. I think they would consider that, but I don't think they give him the opt-out after 1.
You think it's after 2?
I think it best it'd be after 2, because I don't see the way the Mets have been, for lack of a better term, risk-averse so far this offseason, giving up what could be the first qualifying offer penalty for a guy who might only be there for 1 year.
That's a fair point, the qualifying
that's
offer.
But that Framber would have to accept that. You have to bump the AV so high that he had to be able to take those 2 years and be okay with him and possibly never get another payday.
Yeah, which is very, very possible.
Yeah, like there's a guy
unless the Angels come through.
Unless they come through at the end of the day, which is why I still think no matter what, he holds out for the biggest total dollars he gets to his name.
Now, sick in the head me, I would love to see, like the Rockies, obviously it's a nightmare. I want to see Framber Valdez, who gets like 60% ground balls, pitch in Colorado. Let's see what he can
love
do.
That. I mean, Framber could have one of the best pitching seasons in the history of that franchise.
Yeah, like,
why don't the Rockies just sign Bichette and Framber Valdez and just have some fun?
And like win like 65 games, but
and Cody Bellinger.
But you'd be like once a week, you're like, I'm gonna watch that team play some ball when they're home.
Just put down $100 million right now and just go Framber, Bo, Bellinger.
I think that'd be sick.
That'd be awesome.
They would be one of the most fun teams to watch simply from a chaos perspective.
Oh, they would be the West Coast MLB TV team.
I love that. All right, Ranger Suarez. We got a glut of pitchers here. Ranger Suarez, I've got him going to the Baltimore Orioles.
Same here.
Same? Yeah, they've spent too much money this offseason to not address the pitching again. That would be insane. And I don't want to hear it, Orioles fans. I've heard it enough. You guys think that your starting pitching is not a problem. Yes, it is. Trevor Rogers is not going to have a 1.9 ERA again. Kyle Bradish is good, but again, coming off a major injury, like you feel good with Cade Povich and Dean Kramer getting major innings again. You shouldn't. You got to go out and get somebody. I think Ranger would be great.
I mean, Tyler Wells has also pitched this year, and he's always been good when he's on the mound. And I think, you know me, I'm the number one Kyle Bradish fan on earth.
I know,
he's a potential frontline guy. They need someone. I also think that they're a great fit, similarly for both of the other guys we mentioned, Valdez and King. I think we have the same few teams going for all three of these guys, and someone's going to kind of be holding the bag. Also, for the next guy, we're going to talk about Zack Gallon. So between the Angels, the Mets. Not the Angels, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Orioles, the Cubs, and the, kind of the Phillies and the Red Sox.
And also maybe the Diamondbacks, if they don't have PTSD for every pitcher that they've signed over the last 5 years.
It's like those teams have to wind up with a pitcher each, and I think everyone's kind of going to wind up with one. But yeah, the Ranger Suarez market, I think, is the one that will wind up being the most suppressed. Baltimore is not far from Philadelphia. Lifestyle won't change that much. You might just wind up commuting if you sign a short-term deal and figure out what I'm going to do in the future. But let this ease out for a few months, and then you'll hear the Ranger Suarez news.
Yeah, I think Orioles feels like a good spot. And then for the last glut of the pitchers here, Zack Gallon. Where do you got him going, James?
Him I have going to the Yankees. That's the musical chairs one because I
got
don't
him
have them
Cubs.
getting Bellinger. Yeah,
Cubs
okay, there you go.
Gallon.
So that's the Imai flip right there with the Phillies getting none of these guys.
That is also hilarious, by the way. I think we mentioned every single one of each other's teams, just different players.
Yeah, now I didn't put any of these pitchers going to the Red Sox specifically, but I've had them getting someone later on a little bit. But it's Gallon's. The Yankees have been less afraid of going after these low velo starting pitchers, I think. And this could be a fun buy low where again you could get 4 years of Zack Gallon and you could look up and be like, wow, Zack Gallon just gave us like 650 innings with a 3.5 ERA over the last 4 years. Like that was a good buy. I think where the Yankees are money wise right now, they might not be able to go all the way to Tatsuya Imai, but they need something that's more of a middle guy, and that's what Gallon is.
Also, like a 99% chance Zack Gallon grew up a Yankee fan.
Oh, I would almost say 100
because he's a Jersey guy.
Boy.
So
maybe Phillies.
Maybe Phillies. He's from. Is he weirdly North Jersey or he's South Jersey? He's not anywhere close to the middle. That's what it's got to be.
I'll tell you his high school right now.
I think he's in North. I think he's like St. Joe's Montvale, which would be North Jersey.
Bishop Eustace.
Oh, I think that's way south.
Okay, yeah, Philly fan.
Yeah, could be a Philly guy. But hey,
Gibbsboro, New Jersey. That sounds like Philly Jersey.
Anytime I see Borough, that's Philly Jersey.
Summerdale, yeah. Pensauken.
I've never heard of these places.
No, that's Missouri Jersey.
That's all of a sudden they have an accent like Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez. This one's fun because I actually think a lot of teams are super interested in him. We've heard rumblings about this team and that team. I think you said this one earlier in the year, and I like it. Eugenio Suarez to the Athletics.
Yeah, I would like that too, but this one I'm being a little selfish. I have him to the Mets.
Oh, okay.
I think that this is going to be like how you say like we're recreating Pete Alonso in the aggregate, where once Eugenio Suarez's market really suppresses
craters.
I think we're getting to that spot right now where I don't think anyone's giving him more than 2 years. Like I think he just maybe signs a 2-year deal with the coolest guys he can find. I think that's probably the Mets.
I mean, I'd be down for the vibes, and I'm down for 40 home runs a year because we desperately need it. I'm interested to see because he brings zero defensive value as well right now.
No, he's coming to play 60 games at first base and a lot of DH.
Yeah, and maybe like 20 at third if they need it against a tough lefty for Brett Beatty.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a better Vientos, like way better.
He's a much better version of Mark Vientos. Probably have to trade Mark Vientos to make this happen, but he's also like a different version of Jorge Polanco. Like I think that's how the Mets are going to plug up the rest of this team, and Eugenio Suarez seems to really fit that bill.
Yeah, I just love the idea of Eugenio going to the Athletics, being a veteran in that like organization where not that he's won, but he's just been around for a while, had success.
Yeah, people love him.
And he just mashes. All he does every year is he'll strike out 200 times, but he's going to hit close to 50 homers. And you put him in that minor league ballpark in the summer, it's going to be one of the hottest third basemen to acquire in fantasy baseball. He might hit 25
50
home runs in a month in there, like when he gets hot.
He almost did that last year. Then he fell apart in the second half. I don't know if it was the eyes. I don't know if he had the wrist injury. Like, it was a weird second half for him that might be killing his market. That lets a lot more of these teams jump in.
JT Realmuto. Where you got him going, James?
It has to be the Phillies, right?
Has to be, right? I mean, Dave Dombrowski mentioned after they made their last move that The focus is entirely on catching next. And if you look at the options of catching, there's only one. It's JT Realmuto. If you take or sign anybody else, you're just instantly downgrading.
The Phillies right now, also in terms of Fangraphs projected WAR, they have the 30th ranked catcher position in baseball.
Yeah, you're telling me Rafael Marchand and Garrett Stubbs don't get you excited?
It just seems like too easy for him to just come back on another 2-year deal. Like, still be fine. Like, JT Realmuto can still play defense. Athletically, he's still shockingly really sensational. Yeah. It's just the bat's kind of falling off a bit. But like,
that probably gets better if he plays 90 games at catcher instead of 130.
Also, if you're bringing the band back together, you got to bring the band back together. And it seems like the Phillies this offseason are bringing the band back together.
One last hurrah.
Yeah, but I guess besides Ranger, but we'll see if he actually comes back too.
Ryan O'Hearn. Who do you got, James?
I'm mad I didn't think of this one at the beginning of the offseason. The Milwaukee Brewers.
That's the one I said originally. I changed off of that now.
I think it just makes way too much sense. Again, they're a team where first base, like I know the Andrew Vaughn experiment was very fun last year, but he's still a right-handed hitting first baseman. I think you want to bring a lefty into that mix and one that could be a plus defender there. I think it also, like, it's not like the Brewers have a big clog in their DH spot right now. So like if Vaughn's hitting enough against everybody, he can wind up DHing. Like they could use just a bat, a lefty. Like it's probably time to just not give Jake Bauers 450 plate appearances.
I think we've moved on from the need to have Jake Bauers be your other platoon option.
I feel like we're in that moment, so just let O'Hearn go there, be a strong side platoon guy and play a lot.
Yeah, just to be different, because I had the Brewers originally for mine, because he also just feels like a Brewer. Like it's crazy he hasn't played. It's crazy he hasn't played his entire career in Milwaukee. Like, what do you mean he hasn't been a Brewer for the last 5 years? I have him going to the Pirates though. They seem to be looking into first baseman. Spencer Horwitz was low-key awesome last year in the small sample he played, but he could play second. He could move around. They don't have anybody that can play that position right now, so move him to second, put O'Hearn at first or DH. Even if you want to still play Horwitz at first, you'll be good.
Horwitz hit last year, too.
Yeah,
Horwitz
he mashed.
Big part of that team. Also, like, my Brewers thing was contingent on Christian Yelich being able to play the outfield a lot, depending on what they think of Vaughn, but also it's not a huge investment in Vaughn. Like, I wanted to link one of these guys to the Pirates. It was hard for me to find, though.
I think if there is someone, I tend to go Okamoto more, just because he could be third base or first base, or if they ever needed it, corner outfielder, which Josensin Garcia is expected to be their starting left fielder, but he's like 22. There's a world where he doesn't play the entire season at the major league level. Probably won't. Yeah,
Josensin also has some big swing and miss, but also big power, also good defender. Like I like that they're trying. I want to see them try more.
Yes, I would love to see them try more. The fans of Pittsburgh deserve it.
Absolutely, badly.
Luis Arraez. I had to put this in my only 50-50. I put a slash in between this. And it's two teams that we've mentioned that maybe want to try and go in the new direction. I've got them White Sox or Rockies. Those are the two places I feel like the only teams I could be interested in. Also, apparently Arraez is like not happy with how his free agency's going. He's like, can't believe teams don't want me. Hey, dude, it's because we know what's valuable.
I mean, it makes sense. I still have him to the Rockies holding pat on that one. It's just at some point I think that he's going to go there and be able to hit 340 every year.
Like he might become a Hall of Famer because he might get to 3,000 hits because he'll get 210 every year playing in Colorado.
I still like Luis Arraez as a player. This isn't like hate Luis Arraez now, but I wish he just had more defensive value and athleticism. Then he could his profile would play up a lot more.
It's really hard in a sport where getting hits is hard, and he does it.
Yeah.
But in seasons where he's not getting hits at the insane level that he usually does, his value at the plate is pretty much about league average. And that's the scary part with him, is if he's not hitting 330, he's a league average hitter with no value anywhere else.
But in the right lineup, he's still very, very valuable.
Yes.
He could break up a lot of like swing and miss power hitters.
Love him hitting ninth.
It's just at first base, it's hard because you want power from your first baseman. I think that's something that Major League Baseball teams want because most other teams have that. Like you have
or
to
DH.
You have to, right? Like you have to be getting tremendous amounts of power from like the non-power positions. I want your catcher's got to be hitting 35 homers, which a lot do now. Second baseman, like you need to be finding a lot of power there to really be able to fit Luis Arraez on a winning team successfully. I think the Padres kind of learned last year how much of a struggle that could be, especially when he's hitting at the top of the order every game. Like sometimes it just dries up, and when it dries up, it's like I'd rather someone who hit a solo home run right now than a single.
Yeah, when he's cold, he's ice cold.
Yeah, again, like there's a great fit somewhere, but I think that if it winds up being 1 or 2 year deals, it might just be like, let me have fun in Colorado.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, Harrison Bader, City Boy, where you got him going? What city is he conquering next?
Cleveland Guardians.
Ooh, man, that would be a real downgrade from Bader from where he's been hopping around to. And I hate Philadelphia, and Cleveland would be about 10 tiers lower than Philly.
Yeah, right. I mean, but team that desperately needs an outfielder, a team that's going to be playing on the skint, and a team that just can be like, here's Harrison Bader. You want to do 1 year for $10 million again?
Yeah,
That's it.
I did consider Cleveland for this one for the same reasons of you look at the outfield and you're like George Valera and in center. Like I like George Valera, but
There's
like
also it's desperate need for a center fielder defensively. Like right now it's projected to be Chase DeLauder as their center fielder,
and he's much better in the corner. Like you got to put him in the corner. I don't think he's really a center fielder.
And you're putting so much of faith and trust in Chase DeLauder's bat next season if you're the Guardians.
Also,
I don't want to be thinking about center.
You know,
yeah, definitely.
The most games he's played since he's entered college in a season, 52.
Really, it's all wrist stuff, right?
It's wrist. It's everything. He just constantly is getting hurt. That's always been the big knock on him. I had him going to the Giants, though. Luis Matos is projected to play right field for them right now. Even if you want to keep Jung-Woo Lee in center, which I don't think would make the most sense based on how he played defensively last year, put Harrison Bader there, put him in right. Whatever you're going to do, they could use an upgrade there, and Bader, I think, would be a good move. And another big city for him again.
Yeah, Harrison Bader will have 9 1-year, $10 million offers.
Yes.
It's going to pick where he wants to go.
If someone gives him a 2, that's where he's signing.
Yeah, maybe that will be the Guardians. Maybe that will be the Giants.
Marcell Ozuna. I've got him going to the Colorado Rockies. I'm banishing him to Colorado. Just go hit.
I still have him in jail.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
fair. Well, if we know he's not going to jail, but
no. Yeah, I think I think some teams might freeze him out too. I think at this point, what happened last year, a lot of teams knowing the guy he is. To me, there might be a good shot that he doesn't really get much
any
of a
real
deal.
deal.
At all.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of like the Rockies. Like, if there's a price point with the Rockies, like, I mean, sure, we'll sign you.
Yeah, I think probably same with the Guardians. Like these teams that don't want to spend money and want to take like the bad guy discount, that might be them. Who still kind of want to win.
What about Justin Verlander? We're coming down to like the real nitty gritty ones. We'll go through these fast, but Verlander and both him and Max Scherzer are like, we're still pitching. We're not done yet, even though everything points to they probably are done.
I have both those guys going to the Giants because if there's a ballpark and like a catcher and a defense where you're like, I want to squeak out as much stats as possible before I hang these things up, I think it's the Giants. I think the Giants are so desperate for pitching. And I think like Scherzer and Tony Vitello have a connection, don't they, from back in the day?
Yes, Tony Vitello, I believe,
Missouri.
was Max Scherzer's pitching coach.
I think he was an assistant coach in the Missouri staff all the way back when Scherzer was there. So I think Verlander has a connection being a Giants last year. Scherzer has a connection to Vitello. I think for a crazy managerial situation like the Giants are going to have, clubhouse is probably a bit important. And I think they have really good clubhouse guys there in Willie Adames and Matt Chapman already. But like adding in two pillars of the last 20 years of baseball, Verlander and Scherzer would help a lot as well.
Especially because that rotation still is very bad.
Yeah.
I have Scherzer to the Giants for that Vitello connection, and then I have Justin Verlander to the Angels. I don't know, Kate Upton, him, go spend some time around Disney World.
Yeah, Orange County.
Yeah, Orange County, live it up, enjoy your last season, and you know that you're never going to lose your rotation spot on the Angels. They also, did the Angels hire Mike Maddox? Is that a thing that I'm remembering?
I don't know. I could see it making sense.
Good pitching coach.
But Verlander wants to maximize as many wins as he can get, and you might not even win 5.
The problem for him, though, is he might not be able to pitch because how many pitchers is he really better than right now at the major league level?
Yeah, it's not totally incorrect.
And maybe the Angels will give him a good shot. Who knows? But you're right. I think either way, they're going to be on some weird teams. 2 relievers, really only 2 relievers I think worth having a heavy conversation about at all right now. Pete Fairbanks being the first one. I've got him going to the Marlins. I'm keeping him in the state of Florida. I know that this has been dispelled as not as much of an issue as it previously was, but Pete Fairbanks has, I believe it's called Raynaud's syndrome, which in colder climates caused his body and hands to go numb and like lose feeling. It's not a fun time. Apparently he's been taking medication. That's fixed. That's not a problem. I think Lance Brozdowski came out and clarified that. All the people that he's talked to have said that it's not really that big of an issue anymore. I'm still just going to say that the guy who possibly could have an issue with the cold weather is going to stay where it's warm all the time.
Brandon Woodruff has Raynaud's syndrome as well. I think it's a circulation issue with the
yes, it is.
fingers. And I think Glavine had it.
Yeah, and I mean, Glavine came to the Mets, stunk it up in the cold weather at the end of the year.
He's also old, but yeah.
Brandon Woodruff, to be fair, plays inside.
That last day of 2007 was not cold that day. It was a nice day. It was nice. Like, it was a nice early October.
Oh, no, I'm not giving him any excuses.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely not. But yeah, Marlins for Pete Fairbanks for me.
I have Fairbanks to the Red Sox, stick in the division, and also they could just use some more little spackle in that bullpen. I think Fairbanks took a few steps back last year, but I think the Red Sox internal pitching development is very good. They can really help him maximize his cutter, find more fastball shape that he lost. Like there's really good pitching infrastructure there, and you could join a bullpen where you won't have to be the guy.
Yeah, and besides the Raynaud's thing, which again probably isn't a problem, Pete Bendix. That's the guy who found Pete Fairbanks in Tampa, so I see that connection too. Last guy, Evan Phillips. He's come out and said, I'm signing a 1-year deal. That's it. I want to prove it, and I think the best way for him to prove it is to get into a closer role instantly. and I think it's going to be the Washington Nationals. He's from the Maryland area. Keep him home. And he'll be able to get 30 saves in Washington and pitch as much as he wants.
I had a similar idea because the team that I think is trying to win some games has a pretty good team, but has an absolute piss poor bullpen as currently constructed. San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
Again, great place to pitch. Great place for pitchers to just wind up and try to recoup some value. I think again, Ryan Walker profiles better as a setup man than a closer if Evan Phillips is healthy, and then after that, it's Jose Budo is going to be a setup man for them. Spencer Bivens, Joe Peguero. It's a bad bullpen scene over there.
Yeah.
Phillips can just walk in and be the guy.
Yeah, I like that. I think these are all pretty good predictions. We'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Of course, if any of the big guys sign, we'll make sure we tell you what we're thinking over here. So subscribe to the Windup so you don't miss out on that. Follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.